Hey guys, I'm Brad from Fix This Build That, and today I'm going to give you a little shop tour of the Fix This Build That workshop, aka my garage. Here's what you're going to see. So we'll start right here. This is my assembly table. It is a knockdown version, obviously. So I just have an old piece of melamine. It's actually from a sewing table that my mom gave me. I'm going to break that down, put that over in the corner. That's the nice thing about this, is that it can move out and I have a lot of space to do bigger projects like when I built the sofa in here. So I'm going to break that down and then we'll get touring around the outside of the shop. This is the back of my shop here. I have a staging table that I use a lot when I'm doing projects. I will have the assembly table over here in the middle. I will use this for staging for parts or for tools. So let's take a look at some of these things I have. All right, we'll start with my cordless drill charging station. This is a design that I modified from Jay Bates' plan. I have a link down to Jay's cordless drill charging station as well. He did a really cool one, and I modified this one to put a drawer on it. So this contains all of my drills and drivers. I've got the screw storage up top, so that takes all of the screws that I use basically on a regular basis, and I have some backstock as well. I have my chargers up here. There's cords running through and onto the side. There's a power strip in between the two of these units. There are plans for this on my site. I'll have a link below. There's plans to most of these things that I've built on the website. Over here is my other hand tools that of the powered variety. This is a lot of my cordless. I have a lot of my rigid Gen 5X in here. These little cubbies here are adjustable. So this little tool wall storage cabinet, again, there's some plans. You can check those out. Another thing here is the sink. It's a great luxury to have in the shop for sure. As we turn the corner, we'll be going down the other side of my shop, and we'll start off and make our way down this other side. This wall has a lot of my tools that are on mobile bases and they're pushed up against here. It works really well because I also have my dust collector, which I'll show you in a minute. I've got my downdraft sanding table sitting here. This is a great spot for it, so I'll throw that up on the assembly table when I'm sanding. Really helps to keep the dust down in the shop. I have a Craftsman rolling tool cabinet here. This one has a lot of just the various different mechanical tools. So I have some wrenches in here, some files, some extra screwdrivers, torque breakers, stuff like that. And I also have some pneumatic tools down here in the bottom. Next up, I have my drum sander. So as I was talking about earlier, a lot of these tools, these are things that I've upgraded to. So most of the tools you'll see here, save for a few, are kind of the second generation. I've been woodworking for over 10 years now, so I've been able to build my way up. So that's one thing I wanted to just let you guys know. I did not start here by any means. I've been able to upgrade as I go along, and a lot of the tools I bought, almost every single tool I bought to begin with was a used tool. This is a Supermax 1938, so when I need to use this, I can just pull this out away. It feeds through here, and I just hook up my drum sander to the dust collector, and a lot of times I'll be doing cutting boards or doing smaller resawn pieces, so I don't need a lot of infeed and outfeed on this one. All right, next up we have the flip top tool cart. This has my planer, and on the other side is the oscillating spindle sander. This one has been an awesome shop addition. So if I'm planing, I'll just have this down. This is the infeed. I have plenty of outfeed there. If I need more, I can move it back. And then if I want to use the oscillating spindle sander, I'll just flip this guy over. And within a matter of just a few seconds, I can have it all set up to use the oscillating spindle sanders. Moving on to the next piece, this is a router table that I actually just put on these wheels. Here it is. This is something that I built. It's one of the designs, I believe, that I modified, like an American woodworker and maybe like the Norm Abrams style. So it's got the top, the drop-in plate here, the phenolic plate. There's drawers here for bit storage. This is for my 1/2-inch bits, and then I have another one on the other side. I made an extra one that doesn't have anything in it at the moment. The next thing I have is my dust collector. So this is a Delta, I believe it's a 5760. Yeah, it's a model 5760. I have a flex hose on it, so I don't have central dust hooked up yet. I move around, so as I hook these up, I will pull this across. This is one of the Dust Right hoses from Rockler, so it's expandable. Works really well. I'm going to be upgrading my dust collection soon, so I hope to get a Cyclone. This thing has been great, but I do want to duct some of this later, and I want a little bit bigger unit so I can reach to some other sides of the shop. All right, we'll walk down to the other side. Okay, now we are in my table saw area, so this is where I have my clamps. I have a drill press. This is just a little old Central Machinery Harbor Freight drill press. I had this sucker for a long time. I think it was like 30 or 40 bucks, like with one of the coupons. And honestly, it has served me well. It's done everything I've asked it to do. So got this with just a little base cabinet that actually I pulled out of an old house. And I've got just some different bits and things in there and some extra clamp storage. Over here, I've got my French cleat wall. So this has one of my parallel clamp storage racks. This is really awesome. I got that design, the triangular design from Diami Plotke, and I modified it and made the top shelf and the storage. This thing works awesome. You can store 6 clamps in each of those, so I could get 6, 12, 18, 24, and then also I have my bar clamps over here. So you can fit so many clamps on there. All right, lower down here I have my clamps. So this is a lot of where my smaller hand clamps are. So I've got some spring clamps here. I've got some 12-inch F clamps, some 6-inch F clamps. Lots of my Craig jigs here. So my face clamps, my right angle clamps. Some of these cool C clamps from Hart. And this is on a French cleat system, so I can rearrange this. As well as this is where I store my sanders. So I have my orbital sander with all the different grits here, and just some extra little squeeze clamps there as well. All right, now this corner here, this is something that I want to address, and I'm going to address it soon. I have jigs sitting here. I have my crosscut sled. I've got a spline jig. I've got a bunch of other things down here. I've got some of my different saw blades, my feather boards, and it's just a mess, frankly. It doesn't look very good. It's not very functional. I'm gonna make a storage caddy that goes under there, so a rolling cabinet with some drawers. I'm looking forward to building that because it's gonna make me a lot more efficient. This is my table saw. This is a saw stop. It's a 5 horsepower industrial. I actually got this used, so I bought this off of Craigslist. It's a 2007 build, I believe, or 2008, so it's back before they actually had the professional in between the industrial and the contractor. But yeah, this tool is just a joy to use. The build quality on this is just amazing. The industrial gives you an extra 3 inches on the back, so it's actually got a 30-inch depth on the base. So there's just a ton of space, especially when I'm cutting sheet goods. It's a 36-inch rip capacity, but it works very well. I really enjoy that machine. Coming onto the back side of the table saw, I just rearranged this recently in the past month or so. So I've made a lot of shop adjustments actually, and I'm just still getting the feel of it, but I thought this would be a nice point to stop and kind of document everything. This is the Outfeed table. It works rather nicely. It is also mobile, so it's on 4 casters, and at times I will wheel that over, especially when I'm using the planer and the sander. Even just recently I found it really helps to have a landing table, and this is nice big surface. I can wheel it over there very quickly and have that extra work surface to store parts as I'm processing them. On the back side of the Outfeed table, I have my bandsaw. This was here before I moved the Outfeed table, and at first I thought I need to move this because obviously it's right in front. But honestly, most of the time that I do my work, I'm standing right here and I'm just pushing it through. So what I found is that I can work with the Outfeed table right here and still use the bandsaw for the vast majority of what I'm doing, which is typically smaller things. I'm not ripping down a lot of 3, 4, 5 foot boards. And if I do need to do that, all I need to do is move the Outfeed table away if I need to get to the backside and pull that out. But this is a Rikon 10325. It's got a nice 12 or 13-inch resaw capacity. So this is what I use for most of my resawing and most of the bandsaw work in general. The back side of the shop, there's not much light back here, so that's another thing I'm going to be addressing as well. This is where my Rikon 7100, this is my lathe. Again, I got this one off Craigslist for like 35 bucks or something. It had a bad bearing. I had to replace the bearing and actually ended up having to replace the whole drive shaft and everything. So it was a little bit more of a project than I thought, but it works great now. Have this set up. I definitely want to make a new stand for this that is mobile, and obviously I need a lot more light. So as I turn, I'm going to be bringing in some other lights over here into the shop to make sure I can see what I'm doing. And the dust collection is also a little bit of a concern. Honestly, I have not used this in this location. I moved this over, and I've not done any turning projects in a couple months. All right, so that kind of ends this side of the shop. So we just kind of worked our way around. I'm going to flip us around, and we'll start to see my wood problem. Listen, I like wood. What can I say? It's everywhere. No, seriously, I know I have too much wood. I know it, you know it, we all know it. So let's just leave that there. But I've got some wood storage up here. I've got some of these racks that I got from Rockler a long time ago when they had a big sale on them. So these are some domestic hardwoods. I got some Jatoba up there. I've got some dimensional lumber up top. This is a lot of home storage. All right, so here is my lumber cutoff storage. This is one that I built out of some pallet wood. Actually, there are 8 slots. It's 4 by 2 deep, 4 feet wide by 2 feet deep with 8 12 by 12 inch cubbies. So I store this vertically here. And I just have a lot of the maple, cherry, some mahogany, some different maple and cutoffs. This is some cedar and stuff I need to get rid of, but there's some other long pieces here. And in the back, I actually have some of the pallet wood when I first started. We all start with pallet wood, right? Over here on the other side, which is this kind of sticks behind it, I can access it from the back side as well as the other side of the shop. This is a lot of the cutoffs. I need to go through this big time because there's just too much junk in here. But I've been making cutting boards. This used to be completely full, so this is where some of the cutting board storage is. I got some walnut. I got a bunch of mahogany up top here. All kinds of different stuff down here. Cherry, a bunch of maple. And this top left over here is a lot of the turning blanks I have. All right, before we make our way all the way back over, this is where I have my joiner. This is an 8-inch jet joiner. I got it for somewhere under $300. I think it was $285, $275, something like that. I had to do some work to it. So most of the ones that I do get, I have to do a little bit of work, tune up. It was rusted on top, and I just had to restore it some. So I did that and had to rewire it, put a new power cord on there, and I was done. And so for $350, you got a really great machine. All right, before I show you the rest of the shop, this is a great view of kind of the working end of the shop. I do have the bandsaw and the lathe over there, but this is where I do the vast majority of my work in this area. And I told you, I like the open space. I do usually have the assembly table here, and I said sometimes I pull in the Outfeed table. I just like the open space, honestly. I can have some things here. I want to have an assembly table, possibly a workbench, but for right now, I really enjoy it. So I like being able to walk through the shop. I come in, it just feels extremely inviting. And I think that's one thing about your shop is that for me, when I come out here, I want to stay here. I want it to feel like this is somewhere where I want to be, and having it open and airy, that's something that I really enjoy. And it's easy for me to clean up that way too. There's not a lot of stuff I got to dust under and move around. All right, so let's go check out the other side of the shop. Over here, I've got my mobile miter saw station. I really enjoy this one. I've actually got the vacuum hooked up to it, and there's an automated switch down there. So as I turn it on, the vacuum will kick on. You can hear that it actually runs for a couple seconds after I turn off the switch. So as I have the wings on here, I can just flip these out. I could actually have that one kept up, but it's easier to get to the wood with it down. And I have 48 inches, a little bit less than 48 inches on each side. So as I lay down an 8-foot board, I can have that fully on one side and still have it supported with it being more than half of the board length. So this is a really great tool. All right, and this is one of my dirty little secrets back here. I have bins and bins full of wood, walnut, mahogany, maple. So yes, I realize I have too much wood and I just need to use it. And honestly, I want to get rid of all of this and bring my lathe over and actually use my lathe here and have that ancillary bandsaw, either sell that or have that in another part of the shop with just like a little 16-inch blade, 16th of an inch blade on there, because I don't have a scroll saw, so this will be nice for really small work. All right, so coming around to the back side of the shop, in this corner I have 2 workbenches. These are actually some Coleman cabinets and whole setup that I got from Lowe's many years back, and I've moved these around quite a bit. Up in the top cabinets up here, I have a lot of my stains and my finishes, as well as my adhesives, mineral spirits, different things like that. So basically all my chemicals in here. I'd like to get a metal cabinet for those, but this does well for right now. Up here I have just a lot of supplies for finishing. I have some dust masks, my nitro gloves and things like that. Not very organized. On the top of the workbench, I have a lot of these fasteners. So some electrical fasteners. These are more mechanical nuts and bolts type things, and some screws, and then just a lot of miscellaneous stuff. These are things that I've just collected over the years. I should really probably reorganize these, but actually this was the way I was set up when I was doing more home DIY. This was kind of my entire shop. It was just these 2 cabinets before I started expanding into getting into the woodworking and things like that. So I've just kind of left it. It's actually a little nostalgic for me. Some of these are from my grandfather and my wife's grandfather, so it's kind of cool to have those in the shop. So this is the workbench where I do most of my work, and I have a lot of the tools that I use most frequently here. This was more of the long-term storage over here on this side. This is where I have my pegboard wall. I really enjoy having this here. So I've got my levels, my safety equipment. So whenever I come in the shop, I'm always grabbing this. I like to have a lot of pairs of glasses because when the kids come in, have visitors in, or I just like to lose them in the shop, obviously. I've got some of my measuring devices, just screwdrivers, hammers, my angles, and then just various marking devices, my tape measures, and some other electronic things I have here. Down below, I've got a lot of drawers where I have things stored here. Honestly, like all this, I would really like to just change it out and move everything over to the other side of the shop over here and turn that table into a cabinet. I will likely do that in the future because I'm not really utilizing this space really great. This is where I spend most of my effort and my time. As always, the shop is a work in progress, so I'll be changing things around, and there's definitely things I have in mind that I would like to do. If you've got any questions about things that you saw in the shop, leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to look through there and respond. If there's something that I didn't mention, or if you have a question about anything that I have, just let me know. I'd love to carry on the conversation in the comments. If you've watched this far, then you're probably already subscribed, but if not, go ahead and subscribe down below. I'd love to have you as part of the channel. And as always, guys, get out there and build something awesome.